Have you ever said something in English that was grammatically perfect? Every verb tense in the right place, every preposition where it should be, and still watched the other person's face go blank? Or finished a careful sentence and felt the conversation die, like you'd spoken correctly but somehow missed the point? You're not alone. Lots of learners spend years collecting rules, memorizing drills, and correcting every sentence until it looks textbook perfect, and yet they come away from real conversations feeling tired, confused, and a little empty. That feeling, the one that comes when you realize the rules didn't give you the map to the moment, is exactly what we're going to talk about today. Think of grammar as the strong foundation of a house, essential, steady, safe. But if you only build walls and never learn how to open the door, invite someone in, or pour coffee, the house stays empty. This episode is for anyone who's learned the rules but still wants to belong in English conversations. For beginners and intermediate learners who want to sound natural, connect with people, and stop letting perfection get in the way of being understood. So, what's the secret? It's not a trick answer. It's culture, context, and the tiny patterns of everyday speech that native speakers use without thinking. Welcome to English Uncovered, where we go beyond textbooks and scripted dialogues to help you speak English with confidence, culture, and connection. Today we'll uncover why perfect grammar isn't enough to truly connect in English. We'll look at the little signals people use: tone, short phrases, jokes, politeness routines, and even the things they don't say out loud. And we'll practice reading those signals so you stop guessing and start understanding. You'll hear concrete examples of phrases that learners often avoid because they think they're sloppy, but which actually make speech feel friendly and real. And I'll give you a cultural decoder tip. One simple habit you can use every day to figure out whether someone is being polite, serious, joking, or just making small talk. This isn't about throwing grammar away. It's about using grammar as a tool, not as a shield. About learning how to use the language to build relationships, not only to pass tests. If you love learning English in a real-world way, through short, practical lessons, real conversations, and quick challenges that work in daily life, hit subscribe and join our community of learners who want more than correctness. They want connection. Are you ready? Let's get into it. Let's talk about what I like to call the grammar trap, that invisible cage so many English learners get stuck in. It starts innocently. You want to speak correctly, so you study the rules. You memorize tenses, prepositions, conditionals, articles, all the things teachers told you would make your English perfect. And they do, at least on paper. But then you try to speak to someone in real life, and suddenly everything feels stiff. You hesitate, second-guess every word, and the sentence that comes out might be perfect, but it doesn't feel natural. The other person might smile politely, but the flow is gone. And deep inside, you start thinking, why does this still feel hard if I already know all the rules? That's the grammar trap, when the fear of making mistakes becomes stronger than the desire to communicate. It's when grammar, instead of helping you, starts holding you back. I've met so many learners who can write essays in perfect English, but freeze in a casual conversation because they're afraid to break a rule. They're always editing themselves in real time, thinking, wait, is it in the bus or on the bus? Should I say, I have been or I was? By the time they finish the sentence, the moment is gone. And what's worse, they often leave thinking they're bad at English, when really they're just overthinking it. Here's a simple example. You might greet someone by saying, "How do you do?" Grammatically flawless? But guess what? No one says that anymore, unless you're in a very formal, maybe old-fashioned situation. A native speaker today would say, "Hey, how's it going?" Or "What's up?" Or even just "Hey." So you could know every rule in the book and still sound out of touch, not because your English is wrong, but because it doesn't match the rhythm of real life. Let me show you what I mean with a quick role play. Version 1. Hello. How do you do? I am very happy to make your acquaintance. The weather is very pleasant today. Everything in that sentence is perfect. Grammar, structure, even politeness. But it sounds robotic, like a character from a textbook. Version 2. Hey, nice to meet you. Wow, this weather's amazing, right? Now the grammar isn't perfect. There's a contraction, an informal word, but it sounds warm, friendly, alive. That's the difference between correct and connected. The second person might make small grammatical slips, but they're speaking with emotion and rhythm. They're communicating, not performing. And that's what I want you to remember. Communication always wins over perfection. Grammar builds your foundation. It gives you structure, clarity, and confidence. But connection builds your fluency. The real goal isn't to speak without mistakes, it's to speak without fear. When you stop obsessing over being correct and start focusing on being understood, everything changes. Your tone, your flow, your confidence. People respond differently because they can feel you're not just speaking English, you're speaking with them. So the next time you catch yourself hesitating, waiting for the right grammar before speaking, pause and ask yourself, do I want to sound perfect or do I want to be understood? If you choose connection, you're already one step closer to real fluency. Now that we've broken free from the grammar trap, let's go one level deeper into what I call the cultural code of English. This is where so many learners get stuck without even realizing it. You can understand every single word someone says, but you still might not understand what they mean. That's because English isn't just a language, it's a culture, a rhythm, a way of connecting that goes far beyond grammar or vocabulary. And if you don't understand that invisible layer, the tone, the humor, the politeness, the context, then even the most perfect sentence can sound off. Think about this. When a native speaker says, "What's up?" they're not literally asking you to describe what's above your head. It's just a casual hello. When someone says, "No worries," it doesn't mean they had a problem. It means it's okay, don't stress. And "sounds good" isn't about sound. It means "I agree" or "let's do that." These are phrases that don't translate directly. You have to feel them. They're small, but they carry warmth, friendliness, and culture. If you respond too literally or too formally, you might sound distant without meaning to. Here's what makes it tricky. English communication often depends on tone and context more than on the words themselves. For example, take the phrase, "That's great." If someone says it with genuine excitement, it's positive. But if they say it flatly, like, "That's great," it could mean the opposite. They're disappointed or sarcastic. The words didn't change, but the meaning completely flipped. That's cultural communication in action. And then there's small talk, something that can confuse even advanced learners. Native speakers use small talk not to share deep information, but to build comfort. They'll say things like, "Crazy weather today, huh?" Or, "How's your day going?" Even when they don't expect a full answer. It's their way of saying, "I see you, I'm friendly, I'm open." In many cultures, small talk might seem pointless, but in English-speaking cultures, it's a sign of respect and connection. It's how conversations start. Politeness is another part of the cultural code. English speakers often use softeners, small words or phrases that make what they say sound gentle or respectful.
Instead of saying, "Give me that," they'll say, "Could you pass me that, please?" Or instead of, "You're wrong," they'll say, "I see your point, but maybe we could look at it another way." It's not just grammar, it's tone, culture, and empathy. Humor and irony play a big role too. British English, for example, often uses dry humor, saying the opposite of what you mean with a straight face. Americans might exaggerate more. "That pizza was life-changing." Neither is wrong, they're just cultural habits. Understanding these styles helps you catch the real meaning behind the words, because in English, what's said is often less important than how it's said. Let me give you a few cultural decoder tips to help you read between the lines. Tip 1. When someone says, "We should grab coffee sometime," it doesn't always mean they're inviting you right now. It's often a polite way to end a conversation on a friendly note. If they really mean it, they'll add something specific, like, "How about next Tuesday?" Tip 2. When you hear, "That's interesting," be careful. In many cases, it's a polite way of saying, "I disagree," or "I don't know what to say." It's not always positive, it's often just a polite bridge to move the conversation forward. Tip 3. If someone says, "You're fine," when you apologize, like, "Oh, sorry, you're fine," it doesn't mean you did something amazing. It just means don't worry about it. These little things make a huge difference in how people understand you and how you understand them. You start realizing that English conversations are full of subtle messages, and when you learn to catch them, everything starts to make sense. So here's what I want you to do. Start listening like a detective. Don't just study the words, study the rhythm, the pauses, the facial expressions, the energy behind the voice. Watch movies, YouTube videos, podcasts, not only to hear what people say, but how they say it. Notice how Americans often use rising tones when they're being friendly, or how British speakers sometimes downplay excitement to sound polite. Neither is wrong, they're just cultural habits. Understanding these styles helps you catch the real meaning behind the words, because in English, what's said is often less important than how it's said. So, if you've ever wondered why you understand every word but still feel lost in conversation, this is your answer. You weren't missing vocabulary, you were missing the cultural code. And now that you know it exists, you can start decoding it one conversation at a time. Let's take a moment to shift our focus, not from English itself, but from how we think about English. Because the truth is, most people don't fail to speak fluently because of grammar, vocabulary, or pronunciation. They struggle because of their mindset. Somewhere along the way, we were all taught that speaking perfectly means we're fluent. But real fluency, it's not perfection, it's connection. It's the ability to express yourself, to share a feeling, to tell a story, even when your grammar isn't perfect or your accent is still strong. Fluency isn't about never making mistakes. It's about not letting those mistakes silence you. Think about it. When you listen to someone with a foreign accent, maybe a French chef explaining a recipe, or an Italian designer talking about fashion, do you stop to judge their grammar? No, you're drawn in by their confidence, their passion, their authenticity. The accent isn't a barrier, it's part of their identity. That's the energy that connects people. And it's the same for you. Your English doesn't have to sound like anyone else's, it just has to sound like you, comfortable and clear. There are so many famous non-native speakers who prove this every single day. Think of people like Jackie Chan, Shakira, Ariana Huffington, or Malala Yousafzai. Their English isn't perfect by textbook standards, but they speak with conviction, and people listen. They make small grammar slips, their accents are strong, but their message is stronger. That's what real communication looks like. When you stop focusing on sounding correct and start focusing on sounding real, people connect with you instantly. Here's the key mindset shift. Stop trying to speak English perfectly and start trying to speak your ideas clearly. You already have something valuable to say. Grammar is just the tool, not the goal. So instead of thinking, oh, I can't say that because it's not correct, think, how can I say this so the person understands me? That small shift in mindset changes everything. Now, how do you build that kind of confidence? There are 3 powerful techniques I recommend. 1. Shadowing. Imitate, then internalize. This is one of the most effective tools for improving fluency and natural rhythm. Find a short clip, maybe from a movie, a YouTube video, or even this podcast, and repeat the speaker's words exactly as they say them. Don't just focus on the words. Copy the tone, the speed, the emotion. You're training your ear and your mouth to move together. Do it every day for a few minutes, and you'll notice how your confidence and flow start to grow naturally. 2. Active listening. Listen to learn rhythm, not only words. When you listen to English content, don't just translate. Notice how people speak, when they pause, where they stress words, how their tone rises when they're asking something or falls when they're finishing a thought. Real English lives in those details. The more you pay attention to the music of the language, the more your brain begins to think in that rhythm. 3. Cultural immersion. Make English part of your life. You don't need to live in an English-speaking country to immerse yourself. You can create immersion right where you are. Watch your favorite shows in English. Follow creators on social media who speak English naturally. Join online chats or communities where you can practice without pressure. Even listening to English songs and reading the lyrics helps your brain start connecting sounds, meanings, and expressions together. It's about surrounding yourself with the language, not as a subject, but as an experience. And remember, confidence doesn't come before speaking. It comes from speaking. You can't wait to feel ready. You become ready by using the language. Even when you make mistakes, every conversation is practice. Every small talk, every comment online, every voice note, they're all bricks in the wall of your fluency. So here's something I want you to do. Pause for a second and think about your own learning journey. What's harder for you, grammar or culture? And why? I'd love for you to tell me in the comments. Sharing your thoughts not only helps you reflect, but it helps other learners realize they're not alone. You might even inspire someone who's feeling stuck.
And before we move to the final part of today's episode, I've got a quick challenge for you. Something small but powerful. This week, I want you to use one new natural English expression you've learned, even if it's not perfect. It could be something like, no worries, sounds good, or that's awesome. Use it in a message, in class, or in a short conversation. The goal isn't to be perfect. The goal is to participate. Because every time you speak, you teach your brain a new truth, that your voice matters, your ideas matter, and your English, exactly as it is right now, is already good enough to connect. That's what English Uncovered is all about. Not chasing flawless English, but uncovering the confident communicator that's already inside you. Now that you've understood the importance of mindset and cultural awareness, let's wrap everything up with something practical. Simple steps you can start using today to make real progress in your English. Because all the knowledge in the world means nothing if it stays in your head. Fluency grows from daily habits, from small actions that you repeat until they become part of who you are. So here are 3 powerful, real-world steps to help you unlock English communication. Step 1. Balance grammar with real conversations. Grammar's important. We're not throwing it away. But it should be your guide, not your master. So keep studying grammar, but balance it with real-life English. That means listening to real people talking, not just reading textbook examples. Watch interviews, podcasts, or YouTube videos where people speak naturally. Notice how they actually use grammar in conversation. You'll start to see that native speakers often bend the rules, shorten sentences, and speak in ways that feel easier and more spontaneous. When you expose yourself to authentic English, you stop memorizing the language and start feeling it. Here's a simple exercise. For every new grammar rule you study, find 3 real examples of that rule being used in natural conversation, maybe in a podcast, movie, or even a comment online. You'll quickly notice the difference between correct English and real Dinglish, and that balance is what helps you sound natural. Step 2. Practice small talk. Even short daily exchanges help. Small talk might seem trivial, but it's actually the secret ingredient to fluency. It trains your brain to think quickly, to respond naturally, and to feel comfortable speaking without preparing every sentence in advance. You don't need to have long, deep conversations every day. Just start small. Say hi to someone in English. Ask, how's your day going? Or comment, nice weather today. If you're learning online, you can practice in language forums, comment sections, or with AI chat tools, just to keep your flow alive. The goal isn't to be perfect, it's to keep the language active in your daily life. Every short exchange you have builds confidence. Remember, fluency doesn't come from one big effort. It comes from 1,000 tiny moments of practice that slowly shape your comfort and rhythm. Third step, think in English. Stop translating every word. This might be the hardest step, but it's the most powerful. When you translate in your head before speaking, you're always one step behind the conversation. The words come out slower, your sentences sound unnatural, and your brain gets tired fast. So start training your mind to think directly in English. You can do this by labeling things around you in English: door, phone, table, light. When you're cooking, describe what you're doing in your head. I'm cutting the onions. I'm boiling the water. When you see something interesting, think, that looks beautiful, instead of translating from your native language first. It feels strange at first, but over time, your brain will start linking thoughts directly to English words, not translations. That's when you'll notice true fluency beginning to emerge. And now, as we close this episode, I want to remind you of something very simple but deeply important. You don't need to speak perfect English. You need to speak like yourself in English. Your accent, your rhythm, your mistakes, they're all part of your story. Perfection doesn't connect people. Authenticity does. The goal isn't to erase your identity. It's to express it clearly and confidently in another language. So stop comparing your English to anyone else's. Stop chasing an impossible standard of perfection. Instead, chase connection, clarity, and growth. Every time you speak, even with mistakes, you're building a bridge between you and the world. That's something to be proud of. If today's episode helped you rethink how you learn English, take a second to support this journey. Tap like, subscribe to the channel, and share this episode with someone who's still stuck chasing perfect grammar. Help them see that fluency isn't about perfection, it's about connection. And remember, here on English Uncovered, we're not just learning a language, we're uncovering the confidence to use it in real life. So stay curious, stay brave, and keep practicing. Let's grow together as confident communicators.